I'm in the city of Cambridge with Fiona Reynolds, who was the Director General of the National Trust, now a Master at Emmanuel College, University of Cambridge. And also, Fiona, you're the author of the book, The Fight for Beauty, A Path to Our Better Future, which is why we're here. So thank you so much for inviting us to come along.
Thank you, lovely to see you.
Fiona, you fell in love with the natural world very early in your life. It says, I think in the book, something like 2,250 feet up a mountain. Right. An epiphany that shaped your life in many ways. Could you just explain to me kind of what happened up that mountain?
Well, in a way, I think it was a culmination of things because I was a free-range child. My father, in particular, was absolutely passionate about walking and climbing and taking us 5 girls, endlessly out into the countryside. But when I was 7, he said, right, we're going to climb our first mountain. And I had no idea what that meant. I went with my older sister and we went up Knicht, which is the beautiful little Matterhorn-shaped mountain in the middle of Snowdonia, south of the Great Horseshoe and the really big mountains. It sits on its own. And we got up at 5 in the morning and we climbed up and it was a beautiful day. And I literally had never been so high before, and I had never seen a view like that which we could see, north, south, east and west, in all directions. And suddenly, I think there was like a tingle went through my body, and I just felt something, which at the time I certainly didn't analyse, but when I look back over the years, that certainly sparked in me a lifelong passion for beauty, for the countryside, for protecting these very special places.
But you recognised it as beautiful. You kind of really intuited that sense of what you were seeing at the top of that mountain was something
Absolutely.
That was special.
Because the view was just outstanding and it was inescapable. I mean, I think it would have moved anybody, but for me it just felt like a moment of truth. Yeah.
So in your book, you make this very powerful statement. You say, and it's towards the end of the book actually, when you're summing it up, you say, the human spirit needs beauty and cannot live without it. And we strive for more beauty, given half the chance.
I think it is something deep in all of us that of all the things that life throws at us and opportunities and experiences and trials and tribulations, all of those things, we're very preoccupied with jobs, with family, with work, with studying or whatever it is. But actually, if you watch people, the way they use their free time, the chance they get, the places they enjoy, the places people go on holiday to, the sort of sense of beauty and a kind of inner search for beauty, that may not be an explicit motive, but it's very often there in our behaviour. You go out to, Anglesey Abbey near here when the snowdrops are out. It's absolutely heaving. There is something that brings out in people a need to experience something beautiful.
I wonder whether people really stop and think about that, that beauty is something which is actually playing quite an important role in their lives.
I think it's pretty instinctive. I mean, part of the purpose of my book was to encourage more people to stop and think about it and to use the word beauty, to talk about beauty, to make it evident that it's something from which we derive pleasure. But it's not just the beauty of the outdoors. I mean, think about people who, in their own homes, everyone's looking to make them more beautiful. People love objects that have beauty, and some of the most pragmatic objects, whether it's a phone or a kettle or something, if they're designed well and beautifully, actually that we choose them. That matters to us. So to me, beauty isn't just a kind of aesthetic thing. It's about a total perspective on quality of life and the things that matter to us.
So now I want to talk about loss. And it's something as when I was reading your book, and I felt that profoundly in many ways, where you make this point that in losing the word beauty, particularly in politics and in business, and I think you cite there is only one piece of legislation on the statute books which uses the word beauty in its title, that we have lost something very special from our world. And I know you've just talked about that a little bit in some respects, but what have we lost?
Even when we mean beauty, we talk in words that are very jargonistic. So for example, we talk about ecosystem services or natural capital or biodiversity instead of nature and beauty and wildlife. And I think it's sort of, we're hiding almost behind a frame of economics, but losing the spiritual value that beauty I think, brings into the debate. And so we've just written it out of the script in recent years.
I think about actually, say, for example, the Grenfell Tower disaster, which is absolutely awful thing to happen, should never ever have happened. When in fact, actually, when you put numbers before human beings or the environment or both, there seems to be, or we seem to pay a great cost for that.
I think there is something going on. I think there is a sort of stirring of concern, excitement. It can be many things, but about a more values-driven approach to things. I mean, Grenfell Tower is one example, but I also think, as we were saying earlier, people vote with their feet. You know, actually people themselves don't seem to have a problem with seeking beauty or engaging with beauty. It's the system that's become so economistic and narrowly conceived. So it does seem to me that there is a tension between the things people value in their lives and the things people talk about and concerned about, and the system we're operating in, which excludes some of those values like compassion or beauty or love or care. And that, in a way, represents a bit of a kind of crisis for us all at the moment.
It's almost as though using those words is a signal for some people about weakness. Whereas, in fact, I believe that creating beauty is the hardest thing that we can do. And it's just something that I make the observation of in many ways. And it's partly why I'm very happy to stand up and say we need more beauty in the world. In fact, we need businesses to be beautiful in this world.
Actually, I think we just need to go back to basics and say, no, this is beautiful, and we must keep it or look after it. Or if it's going to change, we must change it in a way that retains its beauty. Or we want to do something new, and that's got to be beautiful too. New housing, new development, new roads, whatever it is. We're not talking about a world where we don't change, but it's the values we apply to change. And we'll only get that by people asking for beauty and talking about beauty and indeed demanding beauty as part of the package.
Should we be teaching then, and thinking about what you've just said, teaching beauty in schools and in colleges and in business schools even?
I think it's about the context for a lot of education, about saying, of course we need to learn certain skills, we need to learn certain facts in life, but actually, what do we value? What do we care about? What are the things that make our heart beat faster and make us feel good about ourselves and our society and our community? So that's, to me, the thing that's missing. It's not a kind of crash course on aesthetics. It is, though, that these things matter. So when the students arrive here, indeed when they leave, I always say there are three things that really shape your time at a college like this. One is, you know, academic success and hard work, and you know, no ambiguity about that. The second is the beauty of your surroundings. Never take them for granted. Use that inspirational context for your work, you know, to good effect, and revel in it and thrive in it. And then the third one is community, that you are part of a community, you're not on your own, and you're dependent on each other and look after each other. And to me, those three things are almost a model for, you could apply the same to business. You know, of course, a business has got to succeed, but actually, what are the values that frame success? You could apply it to any organisation, but it does seem to me that's what it's about. It's about everyone thinking, yeah, this matters, and it's not a luxury to have when we've got rich enough or, you know, achieved certain other things. It's embedded in the way we think about society, about each other, about what success looks like.
So my last question, Fiona, is what gives you hope?
No, lots of things give me hope. I mean, I'm a deeply optimistic person, and I certainly wouldn't be here in any context if I wasn't, because actually we have to be optimistic. You know, there are so many reasons why we could all feel desperately pessimistic, but I think the main reason I feel optimistic is I think that young people are amazing and they get this stuff. This is a generation that has got no ticket to the future. They've got no automatic job. They won't have jobs for life. They won't have pensions. Many of them feel they won't ever be able to buy a house, you know, and yet they are steeped in values. They think a lot about values. They think a lot about the environment, but they also think a lot about social responsibilities and equality and diversity and all of these things. And I'm hugely impressed by the young people around here, and I also think that if they look at our generation, they say, well, you messed it up, didn't you? So I say, I did my best. I did my best.
You certainly did that.
But, you know, I think they're right. I think they, again, inherit a lot more challenges than us, but I actually think that they will do well, and I think that's an enormous source of hope for the future.
Fantastic. Fiona, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.